Okay, so picture this. You're sitting in the dealership. The lighting's a little too bright. The coffee machine in the corner is making that sad hissing sound. And the salesman slides a piece of paper across the desk with a number on it, $40,000. And here's the thing. In your head, you've already done the math. You make decent money. You've got some savings. 40 grand feels, honestly, kind of manageable. You could swing that. The monthly payment even looks fine on paper. So you nod, you smile. Maybe you even feel a little proud of yourself for being responsible about it. And that number, that $40,000, is, I promise you, the smallest number in the entire story. I've sat in that exact chair, by the way. Years ago, I looked at a car, did the mental math in about 4 seconds, and genuinely believed I understood what I was signing up for. I didn't, not even close. It wasn't until way later, sitting down with actual bank statements and actually tracking where money was disappearing to every month, that I realized that car, the one I thought cost $40,000, had actually cost me something closer to double that by the time all was said and done. And nobody at the dealership was ever going to be the one to tell me that. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to pull this whole thing apart, piece by piece, and look at the real full cost of a $40,000 car. Not the sticker price, not the monthly payment, but the actual number. The one that quietly drains your bank account in 100 small ways you never budgeted for. And by the end of this, I think you're going to look at car shopping, maybe even at your own car sitting in the driveway right now, completely differently. Because once you see this math, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Let's get into it. The sticker price is basically a lie of omission. Here's the first thing nobody really sits you down and explains. The sticker price is just the entry fee. It's not the cost of the car. It's the cost of starting the process of owning the car, which is a very different thing. Think about it like ordering a salad at a restaurant that turns out to have a dozen add-on charges. Dressings extra, proteins extra. The little seat you're sitting in is apparently extra too. The $40,000 is just what gets you in the door. Sales tax alone can tack on a couple $1,000s depending on where you live. Registration fees, documentation fees, that mysterious dealer prep charge that nobody can ever quite explain to you with a straight face. These things pile up fast, and almost nobody accounts for them when they're doing that quick mental math in the dealership chair. And then there's financing. If you're not paying cash, and let's be honest, most people aren't, you're borrowing that $40,000, and borrowed money is never actually $40,000. At a fairly normal interest rate over 5 or 6 years, you can easily tack on another 5, 7, sometimes $10,000 in pure interest. That's money that buys you absolutely nothing. No extra horsepower, no nicer seats, no better sound system. It just evaporates into the loan. So why does this matter? Because if you're budgeting off the sticker price, you're already underwater before you've even driven the car off the lot. The actionable move here is simple, if a little unglamorous. Before you fall in love with a number, ask for the full out-the-door price, including tax, fees, and total interest paid over the life of the loan. That's the real number. The sticker is just the bait. Depreciation. The silent killer. Nobody talks about. All right, this one genuinely used to keep me up at night once I understood it. So bear with me here. New cars lose value fast, like uncomfortably fast. A brand new car can lose something like 20% of its value in the first year alone, just from driving it off the lot. 20%. On a $40,000 car, that's roughly $8,000 of value gone, poof, within 12 months. And you didn't spend it, you didn't enjoy it, it just quietly disappeared into thin air, like a magic trick nobody asked for. Here's a way to picture it. Imagine buying a scoop of ice cream and watching it melt in real time. Except the ice cream cost $8,000, and the melting happens whether you eat it or not. That's depreciation. It doesn't care if you drove the car 5 miles or 5,000 miles that year. The value drops regardless, just for existing in the world. And it doesn't stop after year 1. It keeps sliding, just a little slower, for years after that. By the time you're 5 years in, that $40,000 car might genuinely be worth less than half of what you paid, even though you've been making payments the entire time on the original, much higher amount. Why should you care? Because depreciation is the part of car ownership that never shows up on a monthly statement, so it's incredibly easy to ignore, right up until the day you try to sell or trade it in, and suddenly you're staring at a number way smaller than you expected, wondering where all that value actually went. The takeaway here is to think of a new car less like an investment, and more like a very expensive candle. It's providing value the whole time it's burning, sure, but it is absolutely unmistakably burning down, and you should budget like you know that. The monthly bleed. Insurance, gas, and maintenance. Now let's talk about the stuff that shows up every single month. Quietly. Like a subscription you have. A pricier car usually means pricier insurance, sometimes significantly so, especially if it's got some performance to it or it's a model that's expensive to repair. Then there's fuel, which scales with the car's size and habits. And maintenance. Oh, maintenance. A cheap sedan and a $40,000 vehicle do not cost the same to service, not even close. Specialty parts, pricier tires, dealership labor rates that make you want to sit down for a second. It adds up in ways that are easy to underestimate when you're standing in a showroom admiring the paint job. I remember genuinely being caught off guard the first time I got a repair quote on a nicer car. Not because the repair itself was crazy, but because I'd mentally filed maintenance under this vague, small background category. And the actual number just did not match the story I'd been telling myself. This matters because these aren't one-time costs. They're the drip, drip, drip that turns a $40,000 decision into a genuinely different number over the years you own it. The advice here isn't buy the cheapest car you can find and suffer. It's this: before you buy, actually look up realistic insurance quotes and average maintenance costs for that specific model, not just the segment in general. 15 minutes of research here can save you from years of quietly wondering where your paycheck keeps going. The opportunity cost you never see. This is the section I think about the most, honestly, because it's the one that's completely invisible. There's no bill for it, no line item, nothing that ever shows up in your bank app. If you take that same $40,000, or even just the extra you spent going bigger and nicer than you needed, and instead you'd put it into something that grows over time. It doesn't just sit there, it compounds, quietly, patiently, in the background, doing something a depreciating car will never ever do for you. Think of it like two trees planted on the same day. One is a car, beautiful for a while, sure, but it's shrinking every single year. A little smaller, a little less valuable, no matter how well you care for it. The other is an investment, and it's doing the opposite. Growing, slowly, unglamorously, without any of the shine or the new car smell, but genuinely getting bigger the longer you leave it alone. That's opportunity cost, and it's brutal precisely because it's silent. Nobody feels the sting of money that was never invested. It doesn't hurt in the moment the way an unexpected repair bill does. But over 10 or 15 years, the gap between those two trees can be enormous, genuinely life-changing amounts of money, just from one decision made in a dealership on one random afternoon. Why does this matter to you? Because it reframes the whole decision. It's not just, can I afford the payment? It's, what else could this money have quietly become if I'd let it? And the actionable piece here is refreshingly simple. Before any big purchase, ask yourself what that same money could look like in 10 years if it grew instead of shrank. You don't need to become a spreadsheet person overnight. Just ask the question. That one habit alone will save you from a lot of decisions you'd otherwise regret. What enough car actually looks like. So here's where I want to land this, because I don't want you walking away thinking cars are evil, or that you should drive something falling apart out of principle. That's not the point at all. And honestly, that kind of extreme thinking rarely sticks anyway. The real shift is just this. Separate what a car needs to do from what a car needs to say. A car's actual job is to get you where you're going safely and reliably. Everything past that, the badge, the extra horsepower you'll use twice a year, the interior that looks like a spaceship, that's not function anymore. That's status. And there's nothing wrong with wanting some of that, honestly. Just know that's what you're paying for when the number creeps up. I think about it like this now. I ask myself whether I'm buying the car or buying the feeling of pulling into a parking lot in it. Both are valid reasons to spend money, genuinely, but only one of them tends to leave you with a healthier bank account 5 years down the road, and it's worth being honest with yourself about which one is actually driving the decision. The practical move here is to figure out your real all-in number before you shop. Sticker price plus tax and fees, plus estimated interest, plus a realistic year of insurance and maintenance, and compare that full number against what the car actually needs to accomplish in your life, not against the version of yourself you're hoping to become by owning it, bringing it all together. So let's zoom out for a second, because we covered a lot of ground here. That $40,000 sticker price was never the real number, not once you add in tax, fees, and interest. Depreciation quietly eats a huge chunk of the car's value in the very first year. Whether you notice it or not, insurance, fuel, and maintenance turn into a steady monthly drip that's easy to underestimate and hard to unfeel once you actually see it laid out. And underneath all of it, the money you spent stopped being able to grow anywhere else, which might be the most expensive, least visible cost of the entire purchase. I think about that version of me in the dealership chair sometimes, nodding along, feeling responsible, having absolutely no idea what the real number actually was. I don't feel embarrassed about it anymore. I think almost everyone walks in there without this picture. Because honestly, nobody's incentivized to hand it to you, but you don't have to walk out the same way I did. You don't need to swear off nice cars forever, and you don't need to feel guilty about wanting one. You just need the full picture before you sign anything. The real, honest, all-in number, not the one on the little sticker in the window. That's not a boring, joyless way to make decisions. It's actually the thing that lets you enjoy the car you do choose, because you're not quietly dreading the bill underneath it. So next time you're standing in that showroom, under those slightly too bright lights, do the whole math before you fall in love with the number. Your future self, the one still driving it, still paying for it, 5 years from now, will genuinely thank you. Sleep well.